Hello everyone. So today I thought I'll probably take a look at this question asked on the community. And this question is really interesting. It is basically about automation, and I thought I'll probably give my opinion, feedback, answer on this particular request, this question. So this question is all about issues in a sprint where you may have, let us say, 3 stories, right? And each and every story can have its own due date, like let us say 23rd of April, 25th of April, 27th of April, and so on. Now, this is, of course, we're talking about stories in a sprint. At the same time, when we talk about due date, due date is, I would like to understand how due date is used in this particular use case. Are you using due date as a deadline, or are you using due date as an end date? And the requirement is that if, let us say, the due date of story number 1 is 23rd, but if story number 1 is finished maybe 2 days before 23rd of April, then the due date of the story number 2 and story number 3 should be updated, or basically changed from 25th to 23rd and from 27th to 25th. Basically, it should reduce, or basically minus 2 days from the original planned due date. Now, and similarly, if the due date is, or if the story is not finished by due date, then you might need to extend. Now, talking about sprints and the way people want to use sprints, when you have a sprint, you're basically defining what you want to do in that particular sprint. So your objective is to deliver the planned stories. I'm talking about agile. For example, if you start the work in the beginning, you agree, though, okay, so we have the sprint 0 or 1, whatever you want to call it, and in the beginning we want to deliver, let us say, 5 stories, and their total estimate is, let us say, 20, 25 or 30 story points, and that is the objective. Whether you finish those stories before, or maybe you're not able to finish those stories, then of course things will reflect. You have a burn down chart where you can take a look at the progress, what is happening. Like, ideally, when you have a burn down chart, you should follow, the line that follows the original baseline should follow the baseline, the actual work. If you see that people are not doing any work throughout the sprint, and the last 2 days they're doing all the work and there's a dip, so it means that someone is not updating Jira stories, or there was indeed no actual work happening. So these reports will show you the true picture, or it will show you what is there in Jira based on whether people are updating it or not. That is, of course, for you, your Scrum Master, your project managers to do to chase your developers, for example. And talking about automation can definitely be used. Although I never really did this. I have made few videos where I showed how to update the due date, and I'm sure if we try to maybe do it, we might be able to achieve this kind of business, like this kind of requirement, where there is a business logic around changing due dates. Doing it using automation rule might be a bit difficult. I would rather use Scriptner for Jira, but what I wanted to talk about is that you should think about the approach. What exactly are we trying to do here? So, okay, let us say we are able to build some automation, and we are able to change the due dates. Will it make any difference in the planning? Because when you're talking, if you are using, let us say, advanced roadmaps, right? In advanced roadmaps, there is a way, or even the basic roadmaps, you do have this option to make a plan on a timeline where you can define what you want to do. Let us say for a specific epic, right? Or if you're using Jira Work Management, I think you can also do that for the task level. But you do have the option to make this plan, and Jira will not really stop you or basically do anything on its own to adjust the dates. It will, if let us say you have dependent items, if there is a dependency between task 1 and task 2, and if you are able to finish, or if you see on the plan, if let us say task 2 is dependent on task 1 and it is scheduled to start before or somewhere in between or sometime before the end date of task 1 on a timeline, then it will show the dependency in a red color, but it won't really stop you from doing the plan or planning. But when we talk about automation, and if you're talking about sprints in general, the whole idea of a sprint is to deliver what was initially agreed. And if you're able to deliver stories before, then of course you will see on the burn down chart that yes, people were able to everything will be delivered before the baseline, and it will basically, there will be a dip early. And you can see that yes, we can probably, and also if you combine it with the velocity chart, then you can of course see that yes, I planned for 25 stories. I was indeed able to deliver 25. And you can then of course use this information, this metric, in your next sprint, and it will help you to basically make a better plan next time. And of course, there are a lot of things that we can automate in Jira, but it's not really always about automation. It's also about, again, I mentioned this before, and I did make a video where I mentioned about problems with Jira. People usually complain about Jira, that Jira is not really working as it should be, and they keep blaming the tool. But I think in a lot of cases, based on my experience, of course, Jira is not really the problem. Problem is basically, people who are using the tool. Even if people are just ensuring that Jira is updated with the right information, then even doing this thing is going to help you a lot. So if starting with all the levels, because you have stakeholders and you have, let us say, business analysts / scrum masters / project managers, and then individual team members. If everyone is actually updating the tool, then things usually work really well. Jira works really well. But if you're not even updating the tools, updating the stories, not the tools, then although you should also update Jira if you're on server. But okay, so talking about updating the stories, if let us say you're able to update your stories on time, let us say if you are able to finish your story in a sprint before, do it. Let it happen, and monitor the burn down chart. And it is for you as a manager, because someone is anyways looking at your. Even if this happens, like you have 3 stories and you are able to finish 1 story before the due date, then it's okay. Move on to this to the next story. You don't have to change the due date just because you're able to, you were able to, or the developer was able to finish something based on finish something early based on the due date. Due date, I believe the purpose of due date, I think I've made few videos. Not few videos, but I have been talking about it. Due date should be used as a deadline, like something has to be done by that particular date. This is what I think due date is there in Jira. For example, if you know that something has to be done by that date, for example, talking about onboarding. So when you have onboarding process, where you hire, of course, new people, and you want to give them laptops or you want to create their accounts, things has to be done on a specific date. That is a really good example. For example, you want to create their accounts on day 1. You want to give them access to systems definitely on day 2, and you need to give them a laptop by this particular date so that they can start the work. So that is due date. In this case, of course, if you're doing software planning for projects for software development, for example, use due date. Totally okay. It will give you an idea about, okay, something has to be done. It's like a milestone. But at the same time, if you're able to finish early, I don't really think even updating the due dates using automation, even if you're able to do it, I'm sure that we are able to do it. There are a lot of ways of doing it, but even if we automate this, I don't really think you will achieve anything. This is my opinion, and I thought I'll probably give you my feedback. as a consultant. I'm an Atlassian consultant. This is what I do. I give my honest feedback on things that people may want to do with Jira that don't really always solve the problem that they originally wanted to solve. So that is all. That is all I wanted to talk about in this video. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.